Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are making, supposedly, Dior Hypnotic Poison. I got this from, again, a wonderful Instagram account called Perfume Archaeology. This French guy reviews patents, which I also love doing, targets certain fragrance formulas that are in those patents, and somehow figures out what what those formulas are attributed to. I don't know how he does it, because I have never smelled Hypnotic Poison, but this is from a 2011 patent, and I've got all the materials, so we're going to whip it up. Looking at the structure of this formula, most of it is Hedione, 30%. This is just the structure, the base, of the formula is Hedione. So many perfumes are just built on Hedione. As Aaron Terrence Hughes would say, it's the backbone. Then we got about 11% musk, 15% what I've got classified as sweets, 10% of this formula is vanillin. So there's a fair bit of vanillin in it. There's no bergamot. There's some Mandarin, Methyl Pamplemousse, but no bergamot, interestingly enough. Plenty of Heliotropin and some Benzaldehyde, Anisic Aldehyde on the top. So pretty interested to smell this. I have smelled Tundra Poison. I can do an example of or a test of that fragrance one of these days. Laboratorium provides a study formula for Tundra Poison, it smells great. Again, I haven't smelled anything in the Poison lineup, so I don't know if this is going to be spot on or not. But we'll see. I know that Matthew, I don't know how you, Matthew? French? How do you pronounce Matthew in French? When he posts a formula on Instagram, if it's incorrect, he'll pull it down pretty quickly. Recently, he posted one for Guerlain Vetiver. I had put that formula together. It was not Guerlain Vetiver. But the nature of the formula just gave a lot of wiggle room. He pulled it down immediately. So the stuff that he leaves up on his Instagram, I guess no one's coming at him saying, hey dude, this is incorrect. Because if they do, he'll pull it down. So I'm guessing these ones have been up for a couple days. He hasn't pulled them down yet. So in any case, I have found that the fragrances or the formulas inside of these patents are wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I encourage you to just search around some patents, see what you find, and whip them up, give them a try. We're gonna save the Hedione, Isoeugenyl Super, Ethylene Brassylate, the Muscenone. No, we'll do the Muscenone. We're gonna save those as for last, because that's, again, that's gonna support the fragrance. That is, again, as Aaron Terrence Hughes says, the backbone of the fragrance. What I want to do is first put in all of the color, all of the sizzle, if you will. We're going to start off with the florals and the sweet materials. This includes Geraniol, Helional we're going to leave, oranger crystals, we have Iralia or methyl Manzanate, Methyl Anthranilate, Benzaldehyde we'll leave. So we're going to start with this floral core, and then we're going to add some Eugenol, Isoeugenyl Acetate, Florol, Isojasmone. All right, so let's just start with our Iralia Total, or N-methyl Ionone. Okay. What a wonderful way to start our fragrance. Moving right up to Geraniol. So 3% of the formula is N-methyl Ionone. 2% is Geraniol. And I like Geraniol. It's rosy, but it's a bit more masculine and it's a bit more green. Okay, again, we're going to save Helional or Heliopropanol for later. Let's do our oranger. Oranger is nice. It's floral, but it's also citrusy. Okay, you know, before we move on to Methyl Anthranilate, the Manzanate, let's do our Heliotropin and let's do our white florals and then our Eugenol. Manzanate's going to beef up the initial pop of the smell. It's going to be fruity. I'm actually wondering if I should keep Manzanate. Maybe I'm going to save Manzanate. I'm going to add it with the Benzaldehyde and Anisic Aldehyde. So let's do the Methyl Anthranilate. Yeah, I like Methyl Anthranilate. I can see how this pairs well with the Oranger because both of them kind of remind me of Pez. Methyl Anthranilate being fruity and floral. Citral, or oranger crystals, I apologize, oranger crystals are fruity, a touch floral, but also a little bit citrusy, but more floral. I've got some maltol, 5% maltol heating up. It tends to recrystallize. Stuff does not dilute easily. I think next time I have to try benzoate or benzyl alcohol. Can't remember. But yes, it does not. Yeah, it's currently diluted in dipropylene glycol, and it does not. It's a 5% dilution, and it does not like to dilute. So I've got to do some research on what the heck to use. So let's use our Heliotropin. Love Heliotropin. It's fruity. It's fruity. It's cherry. Reminds me of that cherry chapstick. But Heliotropin is absolutely wonderful. All right. Again, 3% of the formula. Heliotropin has relatively good, a pretty good tenacity. It should stick around in the formula for a while. All right, Jasmone. Isojasmone. Interesting material. It's floral, but it's also got a celery note to it. Okay, we are going to do our floral, then we're going to do our eugenol, our Isoeugenyl Acetate. Then we're going to give it a smell. This will be our floral core. So, floral. I like floral. It tends to smooth out the rough edges of anything it's added to. The lily, a lot of the Lily of the Valley materials do that, and they're wonderful. Okay. All right. Isoeugenyl Acetate. Then we've got some eugenol, and we will be ready for our first smell. Again, 1% of the formula. is Eugenol. Okay. Let's give it a smell. Okay, it's a nice start. It's floral, but the fruitiness is coming through from the Heliotropin and the oranger crystals. I'm very interested to see how this swings when we add the green materials like Liffarome, Triplal, Styrallyl Acetate, and cis-3-hexenyl salicylate. And then when we start adding those top notes, more citrus top notes, and the fruity top notes, I'm really interested to see how this is going to pop. All right, let's leave that here. Let's add our greens. Let's start with Styrallyl Acetate. It's a good bit of Styrallyl Acetate in here, 3%. Okay. Liffarome. Just a splash of Liffarome. Got to get 0.005 grams. In other words, roughly half of a drop or just a splash. Can I do this? Here we go. That'll have to do. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay, cis-3-hexenyl salicylate, 3%. Now this is more of a blender in my mind, modifier blender. This will give a nice wash across like all of the, to my nose, all of the existing materials. It washes everything together, kind of glues them all together, gives them a nice waxy green feel. I absolutely love salicylates. You can use them in small doses for slight effects, or you can overdose them and make them a true core part of your formula. So let's see, 3%. 3%, okay. I do see this material often. Where there are green notes and there are salicylates, often I'll see cis-3-hexenyl salicylate. Now next up is Triplal. Triplal, made by IFF, is the same as Cyclal. And I've been using Triplal a lot, and I need to use up some Cyclal. So I'm gonna be using some Cyclal here, though. It's really the same thing. So how much do we have? 0.25 grams, just a couple of drops of this. It's a wonderful green note. It's a little waxy, just, it's not like galbanum waxy where you have that almost like weed sap, that milky sap, that waxiness. It's not that strong, but it's green and it's fresh and it's a very nice effect. Okay. Swirl. We're going to sniff. While we're waiting for that to chill, let me write down. We have our floral base. And here we have the addition of greens. Next up, we're going to do the fruity, rich fruity aldehydes and aldehydes. So we're just going to put fruit, and then after that we're going to do the top notes, Mandarin, Methyl Pamplemousse, and then we're going to go back and we're going to add the base notes. We're going to add the base, and then we're going to add the backbone and see what that does to fill out the fragrance. Let's check on our Maltol. Ah, sweet. We are good to go. That is, I better turn down the heat. This hot plate is crazy hot. Okay, greens. Okay. Our fruity floral core. Adding these greens, the Liffarome, Styrallyl Acetate, Triplal, it just takes it green, it just brightens it. It brightens it and it gives it a freshness, not like a lemony zing freshness, but a more like you're walking through a garden and you're not just getting the flowers in your nose, you're getting the stems and the leaves. This is a nice beginning. This is very nice. Okay, let's add our fruits. I'm imagining these are gonna pop because Manzanate's strong, Benzaldehyde's strong, Anisic Aldehyde. These are all, again, to my nose, wonderful materials, and I think they'll help. They're gonna help push the top. So Manzanate, it's fruity, it's appley. Whew. It's a little bit more caramely than, say, ethyl 2-methylbutyrate. It is a top note. It should last less than 10 hours. I don't know off the top of my head. But it doesn't last too long. Though I suppose a lot of very strong materials don't last very long. One more drop. Perfect. Set it aside. All right, Benzaldehyde. Benzaldehyde is wonderful. Almond. Oh, almond, fruity cherry, but the almond, sweet almond, is amazing. Benzaldehyde, unfortunately, does not last long. If there was a fragrance that could smell like Benzaldehyde all day, I'm pretty sure that thing would be a bestseller. It smells amazing. Yeah. All right. Anisaldehyde or Anisic Aldehyde. Fair bit of this. So IFRA restriction, recommendation, 0.21% in final product. And what we're doing here, there is 1.54. So there is definitely, I'll have to double check the formula, but there is definitely an overdose of Anisic Aldehyde here. I do like Anisic Aldehyde. It is definitely aldehydic. It is waxy, but it's also warm, a little spicy. Absolutely wonderful. Next up, we're going to add the Helional or Heliopropanol. You'll often see it listed as Heliopropanol. All right, Helional. Now, I have trouble smelling Helional right out of here, but it has a nice lightening, brightening effect in formulas. But my nose needs more work in recognizing Helional. There we go. All right, I'm excited to smell what this is like now. So we've smelled our floral core, which is very fruity. It's very fruity. Then we got our greens, which liven it. It makes it smell like you're walking through a garden and you're getting the flowers, but you're also getting the stems and the leaves. Then let's add our fruits. All right, let's let this sit for a second, and then we'll just add in the Methyl Pamplemousse and the Mandarin. 3% Methyl Pamplemousse, 4% Mandarin. Let's go. Methyl Pamplemousse is very nice. It's a grapefruit. It's a grapefruit note. And whereas you might not want to use grapefruit because maybe it's too complex, maybe you don't want the skin sensitivity, the photoreceptiveness in your formula. But it adds a wonderful, really helps to brighten your formula and give it a nice pitch up top, nice delivery up top. Love Mandarin. This is red Mandarin. Now the formula didn't designate or didn't define what kind of Mandarin. And I have not looked in this, but I do not know. What is the standard Mandarin? Is it yellow Mandarin? Is it green Mandarin? Orange? Is it red Mandarin? I have no idea. And I only have 2 Mandarins in my organ right now. Red Mandarin and yellow Mandarin. I've got green Mandarin coming on the way. But these are the only 2 to choose from. Okay. We're going to dip the top. Then we're going to smell the fruit. The fruit addition. We're going to smell the top addition. Then we're going to go to the base. We're going to add those base notes. So let's smell our fruit addition. Interesting. Doesn't make it pop like I thought it was going to. It does add a sweet richness and fullness to it. The Manzanate you can pick up. That caramel apple smell you can pick up. Definitely supported by the Benzaldehyde. That almond smell supports the Manzanate. I'm going to have to remember that. That's a good combo. Manzanate and Benzaldehyde. And that Anisic Aldehyde, Aldehyde, you get the waxiness. It's definitely washing through. Very nice. Very nice. With the top note. Very bright. It's beautiful. It's it's bright. Oh, and it pairs so well with that fruity core. Still getting the Benzaldehyde and the Manzanate. But I'm getting the zing from the Methyl Pamplemousse. And the wonderful halfway between lemon and orange that is Mandarin. In my nose, that's the way I associate it. You got lemon up top, you got orange, or at least sweet orange and bitter orange, and then like right in between is Mandarin as far as the zing, the brightness. Okay, this is all wonderful. So let's come down here. We're going to add the Maltol first because this is ready to go. Then we're going to do Vanillin, Coumarin, and then we're going to add our Muscenone. We're just going to get to it. Muscenone, Patchouli, and Kephalis. And then we're going to add the last 3. So let's start with Maltol. Hot. Hot, hot, hot. Okay. I'm just going to need a drop and a half of this. Oh, I guess I need a drop. Dipropylene glycol must be heavy. Okay. And it's good. Vanillin, a fair bit of vanillin. There's a full 10% of this formula is vanillin. Oh, vanillin, I expect to add a nice base level to this formula, to what I'm currently smelling. It just gives it a floor that smooths it out, calms down the notes. Next up, Coumarin. Coumarin. Only 0.5% of this formula is Coumarin. Okay. Coumarin is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Tonka bean is a smells like coumarin because coumarin's a majority. I think it's a majority constituent within tonka bean, but it's also a base note. People say it smells like hay. Maybe it does in like small dilutions, but I think it's wonderful. It's sweet, gives a brightness, almost like a wetness to formulas. Kephalis. 3% of the formula is in Kephalis. If I remember correctly, Kephalis is woody, but also, I was going to say green, but maybe I'm thinking of Vertinex. Okay. Kephalis is good. Nope. Woody. Ambery. woody, ambery, tobacco. Kephalis. All right, clearly I need more practice with Kephalis. Okay, so next up we have patchouli. We're gonna do patchouli light. It's 2% of the formula. I wanted to do patchouli dark, but just because I'm such a fan of the patchouli dark that I have, I think it's from, I can't remember if it's from Robert Tay. I'll have to double check, but it's just one of my favorite materials. But let's do patchouli light. Okay, thought I overdosed it for a second, but not that it's that big of a deal. If I get an extra drop in there. Next up, Muscenone. Love Muscenone. It's musky, like white musky. It's got that sweet musk vibe, but it's also a little bit animalic. It adds a very nice touch, to fragrances. If you want to thicken it up, beef it up, and just make it, give it a bit more, I don't know, gur. Oh, I just got a waft of it. It's lovely. It's lovely. All right, let's give this a little swirl, because the next up, what we're going to do is we are going to add the Ethylene Brassylate, Hedione, and Isoeugenyl Super. Shoot. This is what I get. This is what I get. So, now we need to figure out how much is in here. If I eyeball it, I'm going to guess there's about 3 grams, maybe 3 and change. There's about 3 grams. Most of these weigh about 26 grams. These 10 milliliter bottles, plus or minus half a gram. So we are going to, because this is a 6 gram recipe or formula, I'm going to just have to cut down the Ethylene Brassylate, Hedione, and Isoeugenyl Super by a factor of 2, or just cut it in half. And then, I'm still good. Still good with the formula. Okay. Let's do it. We're cleaned up. I didn't get a test, though I can smell it because it's spilled. I can smell what this is going to smell like with the base. Yep. Okay. The vanilla really adds that smooth base to the fragrance. I'm still getting that nice brightness from the Mandarin and the Methyl Pamplemousse. I'm still getting the sweetness and the richness from the Benzaldehyde and the Manzanate. Yeah, this is wonderful. So let's add our Isoeugenyl Super, our Hedione, our Ethylene Brassylate. We'll move a little bit more slowly, but let's start with our Isoeugenyl Super. So this is 7% of the formula is Isoeugenyl Super, but remember Hedione is 30%, almost 33% of the formula. That's all we need. Let's tear that. Hedione, we're going to do the majority of Hedione. So with our Hedione, again, almost 33%. Done. Last up, Ethylene Brassylate. Ethylene Brassylate is a wonderful white musk. Ubiquitously used. Ubiquitous in formulations. All right. So that's it. I'll give it a little, I'm actually going to need to give it more than a swirl because that Hedione and Isoeugenyl Super is pretty thick. So I'm actually going to give it a shake. Let it oxygenate a little bit. Why not? Okay. let's give it a final smell. That's lovely. That's lovely. It's very interesting how the floral core stays through. That fruitiness, fruity floralness stays through the entire way. Everything else on top of that simply adds to the color of that core. The greens with the Triplal, Liffarome, Styrallyl Acetate. Then we've got the fruities, which is the Manzanate, Methyl Anthranilate, Benzaldehyde, Anisic Aldehyde. Then we added our top notes, Mandarin, Methyl Pamplemousse, even a little Helional. Just adds a little brightness to it. Then we added our vanilla, Coumarin, Kephalis, Patchouli, Maltol. And this definitely gives it doesn't change the top, but it gives it something underneath that you can pick up, just that supports it. It's interesting. It doesn't change it, just gives it something to sit on. And then finally, the final product with the Hedione, which it gives it the Hedione thing. Isoeugenyl Super and the Ethylene Brassylate. Yeah, this is lovely. This is just absolutely lovely. I don't know if this is Hypnotic Poison. I'm going to trust Matthew from Perfume Archaeology this time around. And if he ever pulls it down, because it turns out not to be Hypnotic Poison, I'll make a note I'll make a comment in the show notes. But this is a beautiful fragrance. I would encourage you to put this together. Study it. Give it a study, give it a go, and enjoy the process. And of course, move slowly so you don't spill and make your office smell like perfume. Thanks for joining me, and until next time.